Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we are jumping down into the charts for Cardano's ADA, taking a look at the price action, what's been going on and what I would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. And if you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the new Cheeky podcast as well in the description down below. It's fantastic, easy listening to keep you up to date with what is going on in the crypto space daily. And yeah, it's just a great way to kind of catch up with recent events on your commute to the office. Okay, guys, let's jump down into this, right? So here we have Cardano paired up with USDT. We're on the hourly chart and Binance is the data source. Now, there's a lot of things going on here, so I'm going to try to walk you through what you're currently looking at, okay? And before we actually talk about what's going on and what I expect to happen next. So in the blue line here, this is the one bullish outlook that I have, basically targeting out there about 72.16 cent. Okay, it's the only one here at the moment from an Elliott wave theory perspective that I can see that is indicating a slightly larger surge to the upside. Okay, so other than this, everything else actually looks more bearish than anything else. Okay, so just keep that in mind that this blue one is an anomaly. It's still possible. It hasn't been invalidated. The invalidation for this comes in if we drop down lower than 40.19 cents, which is marked by this little yellow line at the bottom here. Okay, so essentially as long as we stay above that area, this is still possible technically speaking. The wave structures to get there, however, could be multiple different ways. We could look at a 5-wave structure to the end, we could look at a 3-wave structure to the up to get up there. Lots of different ways that happens. However, it is the wild card. It is something that I don't think is necessarily probable just yet, and so we'll keep a close eye on that one. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about really is the fact that this down here, this low point at 40.19 cents is actually an A wave low, which means all of this here is potentially a B wave bounce. Okay, so currently up here, I think this is, let me just grab hold of that wick right there, comes in at 68.6, yeah, 68.6 as our high point, right? And essentially what this is our potential move to the downside. And we did see that we got rejected from this area and we fell down to this low of 42.06 cent. Okay, so what I will do is I'll actually just mark that up with a line so that we can actually get a better representation of it right there. 68.93, sorry. Okay, so that at the moment is the B wave. However, if we do push up into the 72.16 cent, then that actually becomes our B wave high just at the top there. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. The invalidation of the C wave that would follow is set way up here at $1.24.6. So unless the price pushes up to that high, we are ultimately looking for completing these moves somewhere to these lower ranges, which come in at 22.23 cent. Okay, and that's an approximate level. It's not a guarantee, of course. So that means that we are looking for that downward price action. So we have either already completed our corrective move upwards, okay, and if I grab hold of another WXY, we go W, X, and Y. Okay, so it's possible that we've already completed this B wave within that W. Okay, which is why this is a wild card that we still push up to 72. It's possible, but it is a bit of a stretch. Okay, so for the most part, we could actually articulate that our B wave is done. Now, when we're tracking back down, what's interesting about this is I think there's actually a leading diagonal here, and this is actually super bearish, by the way. If we are to kind of see this as what it is, right? We have overlap between wave 4 and wave 1, and essentially it's a bit of a mixture, and there's a lot of rules around these diagonals that you would expect, right? Wave 1 theory should have been longer than wave 3, but wave 3 cannot be the shortest in the way that you'd have an impulsive structure, and it definitely isn't the shortest here either. So it still could be a leading diagonal. It's a mixture of 5-wave moves and 3-wave moves. They're a little bit harder to spot and usually are quite rare, but they would actually happen here within a wave 1 structure, and typically speaking it's usually the weaker of all of the moves. So if this is a leading diagonal, this could actually mean that we are looking at a pretty big drop for Cardano's ADA. And as I zoom out here, we can kind of see that our targets are quite reasonably low. So if we were to actually take this low point down here, okay, and we were to take it all the way up to that high that we had marked out, if I can grab hold of that price point, can I get it? I'm going to zoom in a bit. So this high being 68.93. If I grab hold of that and I actually move it up to the high point, there we go. And I'll just make sure that I have actually got this on the low, which I do. Okay. So this little fib here is basically telling us that a move to a move upwards in a kind of a B wave bounce or a wave 2 bounce, and then we move this over to, let's just take the current price point. I still think we've got a little bit more room to the upside, but we'll talk about that in a second. It means that dropping down towards our 22-cent target might actually mean that we bounce up and then drop down further later towards the more extreme 15-cent ranges. So a leading diagonal here would be really, really bearish for ADA now. So I don't really want that to be that. You know, it could be a simple WXYXZ, for example, a 5-wave corrective structure rather than a leading diagonal. So we'll be a bit cautious with that, a little bit of speculation with that particular pattern that could lead us down into really, really deep lows for Cardano. So we don't want to avoid that if we can. Now on the upward action here, so this price movement to the upside here, so the recent kind of price movements, okay, so we're talking about what's been going on in the last kind of day or two. And here we can see that we have this really interesting structure to the upside and over this side as well. We can articulate this as a corrective pattern that's about to complete or is completing. Okay, and there's a lot of different ways we can kind of review this. And I think for the most part, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the bottom here. We're going to go wave 1, wave 2. And I think, yeah, we're going to go wave 3, 4, and 5 there. That fifth wave actually being a little bit short. We then have a 3-wave structural drop here. We go 1, 2, and 3. Nothing overly special other than the fact that the C wave was shorter than expected. And then, of course, we move on up here with wave 1, 2, potentially 3 here, 4 here, and 5 there. Now, that would actually complete what is a zigzag pattern. If you follow any of the other videos, most of the cryptocurrencies were doing this pattern in the last few days. And basically what you've got here is an ABC. An ABC is a zigzag, and a zigzag is a 5-3-5 structure. Okay, so essentially that's what that looks like. It's very, very messy, so I'll remove that off there, but you kind of see a 5-3-5 move. And then of course we pull back down. Now we're pulling down in a 5-wave structure. So I'm expecting we continue to go down, and again this should be a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I grab hold of this right here, we move this over to here, for example, and if we actually go ahead and measure this out, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's a really small version of what happened here, right? We had that 5-wave move, 3-wave drops, 5-wave move, right? This time we've dropped down by 5 waves, but really, really small waves. Okay, we then look to move up. We go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then what we're looking for here is basically to mirror out those 5-wave drops, and then you end up with a corrective pattern that is an ABC. Okay, so if I now remove these, and I remove that, and I remove, actually I'll leave that on there for a second. We go basically A, we go up for B, and we come down for C. So this next move for Cardano looks like we are likely to drop down to about 47.26 cent, just this little one here. But as you can see, that's not exactly a huge movement on this price radar. And again, this, knowing that this is an ABC structure in itself, this 3-3-5 structure, we could then potentially take a look at this corrective move, again another 5-3-5 structure by the looks of it, as exactly what it is, right? And we could take this move and go, this could be A, this could be B, and then we look to surge on up. And again, this allows us to kind of say that there's a little bit more room to the upside. Now, if I grab hold of this high point just up here on this final 5th wave high that we had yesterday, and we take it from that low and move this over to our theoretical drop of 47.26, and then we can come up here and we can see that our C wave might actually have a theoretical top here at about 59.12. And I'll go ahead and just label that up there, 51.12. Sorry, 59.12 if I can get my words out. So that could then be our correction here to the upside. And that correction could then actually be our 3-wave correction move on a slightly larger scale. So as I said, right, we don't want this to be a leading diagonal, but if it is, and we start to see this play out like that, that's a 5-wave move. This is a 3-wave move up here. And if I do, once again, take the measurement of that low, find it down here, let's grab that, and that high point up here, move that over to our point here, which is about 59.12, then we are looking at about 26.59 cent. Actually, it's really anywhere within this kind of range of interest anyway for a significant bounce. And if that is the case, then we bounce up and potentially then fall down into the final lows of 22.2, and avoiding those key critical levels of dropping down lower towards the 15-cent range. So in summary, this could potentially be a big wave 1, this could be our wave 2, a drop down here to our wave 3, a bounce up into a wave 4, and then finally completing at 22.23. Now there's a lot of speculation about this because there's no guarantee that we see a 5-wave drop until we actually trigger it with an area of somewhere between 1.236 and 1.618. Personally, I want to see a 1.618 to have a lot more confidence behind that downward price action. So that's a lot of speculation there, a lot of kind of thought pattern going into that. Again, it could also be just corrective in the way that we have a 5-3-5 structure right now. It's unusual that a leading diagonal would end up being like that. So again, we want to avoid it, these kind of scenarios the best we can. But on the flip of that, there's going to be some fantastic opportunities to accumulate ADA at some discounted rates. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's only really one bullish sentiment here to say that we're going up, and everything else is actually indicating that we are going down. So we want to be, cautious with buying at these prices. There's some upward swings to be had, but do expect some volatility. I'm expecting to come down first, and then I'm expecting to push up, and then I'm expecting to push back down in a really significant way. So I'm not expecting the volatility to be over just yet. And now there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I do want to add one additional thing to this analysis to help us understand what's going on, right? So if I come in and I just zoom in on all of this section, specifically talking about what's going on right now, we can see that the price is going down. We are, of course, up in this overbought area as we look to finish this B wave high and pull back down towards our 47.26. Now, I expect 47.26 to be us entering into the oversold area on the stochastic RSI. So that should actually then complete that quite nicely from there. Now, when we jump up into our 4-hourly chart, you can, of course, see that we're now nice and low. This move to 47.26 could take us down into an oversold area on our 4-hourly chart, meaning that we could start to usher in this actual move upwards towards 59.12. So again, for Cardano, that looks pretty interesting. Now, if we jump up into our 8-hour chart, we have a very similar story. As we look to correct down that ever so slightly lower towards 47.26, our 8-hour stochastic RSI should also get very close to this oversold area, meaning that that's also going to support our move upwards towards 59.12. So essentially, we've actually got a lot of momentum indicating, I've got an indicator here indicating that the momentum behind the price action is supporting both an immediate kind of pullback towards 47.26, but then bouncing significantly towards 59.12. However, we should be very mindful of what that daily chart is telling us. Our daily chart is absolutely overbought, which means moving up towards 59.12 is not only just difficult, but it's also going to put us at, an extended risk of massive downside. We should be overbought by the time that we're up there on our daily, our 8-hour, our 4-hour, our hourly charts, and they are all going to be helping us indicate us moving us down towards our lower targets. Although they do seem really far right now, I do believe that once Bitcoin gets moving towards its low ranges, I do think Cardano is likely to move down in a really significant way as well. So points of interest, 28.32 and 34.2, that hasn't changed, and as we can see, that's a probable area for a bounce, as it does fall within the range of 1.236 and 1.618 of that macro move that we spoke about, with a 5-wave structure dropping down within our 3rd wave move. Now, from there, we bounce up and potentially move down towards 22.23 afterwards. So there's a lot of stuff going on here for Cardano. There's a lot of movements and a lot of volatility. If you're trading, there's going to be fantastic opportunities in Cardano, I believe, if we were able to get the right spots and get the right momentum behind each price movement. Essentially, I do think that once this correction is done, we are going to be launching up in a really, really big way. Again, a big macro movement. If we zoom out of this daily chart, and we can actually see here that we have a 5-wave structure upwards, a 3-wave structure dropping down towards our 22.3 cent, and then a 5-wave structure potentially taking us up to a really significant highs. I did indicate this before, it's $39 as a 1-to-1 ratio. However, I would really want to focus in on the 618 to the 786 area between $5.46 and $13. But $39, I wouldn't be disappointed with that either. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.